I
think we're live.
We're live. It says.
What's up, freaks? Welcome back to RHR. We're getting set up, so I'm going to say welcome back to RHR again as soon as we hit record. On my end here, I got like dinosaur arms trying to get my mouse. Ready?
Hold on a second. Nope.
That's
okay. Now I'm ready. I'm ready. Count me down.
All right. 3, 2, 1. What is up, freaks? Welcome back to Rabbit Hole Recap. Your boy's a party and Matt. Sitting down, Matt is a mountain man. You're really living the mountain man stereotype. Vitalik Buterin would be proud of you.
I hope it triggers him. I spent the last 8 hours trying to clear ice from the satellite so that I could actually do the show. And I want you freaks to know that the dedication's real. The show must go on, and made it happen.
Show must go on. Your strategy was a little perplexing to me. You were throwing water on the ice. How does this work?
Boiling water.
Boiling water, yeah. You got to time that up, right?
I just kept heating. I was just heating pots and pots of water. I had like 3 different pots going. That was my whole morning, was just throwing boiling water.
Boiling the ocean's a big topic in the news this week. It seems to never go away. Let me pull up Clark's dashboard. Ooh, I haven't even looked at the shout outs yet this week. If I remember correctly, I think there's a juicy one for you. We'll find out. Current price of Bitcoin is $49,925. Cuck buck. It's going a little bit longer than it did last week. I'm going to get 2,003 sats per cuck buck. The Bitcoin market cap is under $1 trillion at 930.5 billion. We're at block height 672,167. There have been 18,638,455.11 Bitcoin distributed to the market already. That is 88.75% of every Bitcoin that will ever exist. 88.75% of the 21 million. Pork slap. Wow, haven't seen a pork slap in a minute. Let's go.
I know. I got some nostalgia when I saw it.
I've got a Russian River Valley Chardonnay, drinking some white wine. Basic bitching it today. Davis Bynum, 2016, good vintage. I'll pour myself a little glass here. Drinking wine on a 2 p.m. on a Thursday. Feels good. Feels good. Cheers to you, sir.
50K Marty drinking white wine at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday.
I'll put my pinkies up before we get into everything. What a week, man. What a week. It's we got a lot to talk about. A lot of FUD being debunked. A lot of good fundamentals. We had a price dip this week. But before we get into that, like how you doing? How you feeling? How are your vibes? That picture that American Hodl shared earlier today really hit me in the feels, flashing back to that particular interview.
Did we know he was taking that picture when we took it?
No.
Did I put my hand down to cover my face, or was I just?
So. I think he caught you in a moment, a very genuine moment.
I liked how people brought up that I had the shitty mic. Freaks, I had the shitty mic for like 150 hours of TFTC. Okay, there was like a year and a half where I had to hold my own mic before I actually got a stand to use.
Well, hey, same with me.
Well, no, in that video, you got your nice setup.
This actually,
you got that nice setup going.
This used to be your mic. Well, because when we would have a guest, we would do. You would co-host the interviews with me. We'd be kind to the guest, and we give the guest the good mic and give you the shitty mic. Just being good host there. That's the way I look at that.
I mean, you can't trust American Hodl to hold a mic. Like the guy can never pull that off.
No, it's too much. Too much. All he can do is stack sats and meme. What am I looking at here? I'm trying to pull up the shout outs. You speak to me while I try to pull these up.
I mean, this week has been fucking lit. I was like, when I was putting this list together, like I didn't really realize exactly how crazy it's been. I mean, RHR last week, we speculated that the MicroStrategy purchase was going to be over $1 billion. Literally, like, I guess like 8 hours, 7 hours after we recorded, it was released that it was over $1 billion. Since then, he actually did his purchase. You know, he usually does this in 3 steps. He announces that he's going to take out debt. Then he announces that he's taking out more debt than he originally announced. Then he announces that he purchased. It's like a 3-step process. He finished the 3rd step. And that feels like that was just a decade ago with all the other news that came out. I mean, It's meanwhile, people were, we had all the Bitcoin haters. We had a massive down day, a double-digit down day, which was the day of Citadel Dispatch, down like 13%. All the Bitcoin deniers coming out of the woodwork saying that Bitcoin's dead while it's trading at $48,000 on the 7-year anniversary of Gox. Like, fuck you. Like, there's no way Bitcoin has failed at $48,000. Who the fuck do you think you are? And then
Right.
another big thing was CryptoWatch added that feature where you can put tweets now directly on the chart, so we can fully shame the Bitcoin deniers and their bad takes and put it on a nice chart that shows how wrong they were.
Yeah, someone shared a tweet from Paul Kriegman with me in private using that chart tool of like him calling Bitcoin evil in 2012, 2013. Just like the price going parabolic after that. Sweet justice to these Keynesian idiots. Paul Krugman, you ever want to come on the pod and try to give your case for why we should continue down the path of monetary easing and easy monetary policy that's been employed by the central banks and the treasury up to this point? Invite is open. I hope you're watching.
When you're charting Bitcoin for your own purposes, you should always use log scale because it's an exponential adoption is happening. But if we're trying to shame Bitcoin deniers, make sure that you use linear so it
Yes.
really looks crazy.
Yeah, you have to. It has to be potent salt, and the linear scale chart is much more potent than the log chart.
Way more provocative.
Yeah, and it was funny that that same day we had the crash and all the creatures were crawling out of the woodwork to say that Bitcoin was dead. Like the fundamental news of the course of that 36 hours was pretty significant. Like you mentioned, Saylor finished his purchase and announced it, oversubscribed, stacked a whole bunch more sats. Square had their quarterly call, disclaimer, sponsored the pod. They had like an epic 2020. I believe they had something like 4 billion in like sales, but like revenue created like 1 point. Let me pull up the numbers here.
Well, the big number for me was twofold. First of all, they bought another $170 million worth of Bitcoin, which is just hilarious because it seems so small in comparison to MicroStrategy. Like that's all you're gonna fucking buy. I
More
mean,
Bitcoin than Coinbase.
Our boy Ben Kaufman was like, what are you short Bitcoin? You have 95% of your reserves in cash. Like what the fuck's going on? Yeah, Coinbase has even less. I think they were at 130 million. But the big numbers for me out of the Cash App thing, the Cash App quarterly earnings was 3 million customers bought Bitcoin this year through Cash App. And 1 million of those customers were first-time Bitcoin buyers. That was like the first time we really got hard numbers on an exchange. And then, of course, Coinbase has since filed public today, and we got insane hard numbers from them. We got everything. And with them, they say they have 43 million verified users. So, but out of those users, 2.8 million are monthly transacting users, which means over the last 28 days, they bought Bitcoin. So actually Cash App doesn't seem that far away from Coinbase, which is kind of surprising to me, but also at the same time, that 43 million number is way higher than I would have expected in terms of, trying to extrapolate for Bitcoin users. Also on the Coinbase side, I think it was like 80 to 90% of their users, their volume is still driven through America. The majority of their customer base is America. And then another big thing is
the retail buying has been waning, right?
First of all, retail, they're charging
as a percentage
like
of their overall sales.
They're charging institutional like nothing. It's like 0.005% fees or something like that. But one of the big things that they mentioned was they're holding $90 billion worth of assets for customers. Now, a lot of that's probably shit coins, but that's pretty fucking crazy.
But like percentage wise, like how much of that is shit coins, do you think?
I don't know. They didn't break it down, you know, but $90 billion, that's fucking insane.
Yeah. I mean, again, well, this news came out after the crash earlier this week, but we're still hovering about 10% below highs right now, below 50K. So you had that news, you had Square. And Square's growth, going back to Square, like their year-on-year growth in Bitcoin revenue was insane. In 2019, it was 177.6 million. Last year was 1.76 billion. So you literally have like a
Yeah.
10x growth in Bitcoin revenue for Square alone. Like you said, it's crazy. Like last year, their $50 billion purchase, when they did that, I believe in August or September, got them 4,709 Bitcoin. Again, $50 million. Fast forward to this year, last month, I believe they bought, and they spent more than 3x, like 3.5x almost, $170 million. And they only got 3,318 Bitcoin. So yeah, they're hovering
And then
around
meanwhile,
8,000 Bitcoin right now.
MicroStrategy comes in and buys 19,000 Bitcoin, bringing themselves up to 90,000 Bitcoin. Fucking insane. The other thing with Coinbase that it behooves me to mention is, if the freaks remember, Brian Armstrong lied to everyone and told us that he needed to recoup costs, and that's why he sold surveillance tools to the U.S. government for a couple $100,000. Meanwhile, they had $300 million in profit last year and 1.28 billion in revenue. Like, fuck you. There's no way it was to recoup costs.
Right. Ah, the naked mole rat. Naked mole rat. Yeah, so that's the big question right now. They're valued at what, 100 billion? Is it justified?
I mean, it's gonna be even higher when this is all
You
said and
think
done. First
so?
of all, the stonks are all irrational anyway. They only go
Yeah.
up. You know, the market's crazy. There's a huge appetite for Bitcoin right now. Their ticker is going to be coin. You know, they're
Right.
doing massive volumes, and like the valuation, I wouldn't be surprised if it blows past 100 billion. That doesn't mean that it makes sense to me or whatever, but you know, I think people should buy Bitcoin instead. But to think that this isn't going to be like an insane blockbuster, you know, offering. I don't really understand exactly how the whole direct listing method works, and how that's different from traditional IPOs. I know there's a couple different ways you can do it, but I do think that at the end of the day, when all is settled, and they've been public for a couple weeks, their valuation should be significantly north of $100 billion.
Yeah, I would agree. Chamath was freak. Sorry for picking my teeth while we were live. I forgot we were live there for a second. It's poor form on my part. Pretty disgusting. Hope we don't get screenshots of that. But I saw Chamath tweeting out he's going to use this as a barometer of whether or not direct sales to retail are fairer than the traditional route, or the more common route that that stock IPOs have been taking recently, which is being underwritten by an investment bank and getting insiders in first. So we shall see. It'll be interesting. You know, it is.
Well, I mean, I think.
Good.
Sorry, I mean, I think, you know, it's something that doesn't really move the needle much for me in terms of what is more fair to retail, because the whole process in general is designed to really kind of just dump bags on retail, regardless of the method you go through. You know, there's a reason why I've always thought that accredited investor laws were fucked up and stuff like that, because you have these rich connected people who are able to get in early, and then by the time retail gets it, it's just dumping bags on them regardless of the way you come in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and like all this pre-IPO posturing and the buzz around it just like leads to inevitable pump. Should we
I just
ninja
think
launch IPO in the future?
I just think companies are staying private longer. And the reason they're doing that is because of so much regulatory overhead when they go public. So they squeeze out the amount of return you can get from these companies has been reduced significantly because they wait until they go public. It used to be they would go public a lot sooner, I think, in general.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a conversation we have again. Like, will we ever want to go public? I think we want to stay private as long as possible. It's just easier. The headaches aren't worth it. You could argue they can get more going public and cash out, but is that the goal? Is that what you want to do? Cash out? And it was like surprising to see that they only have $130 million worth of Bitcoin on their balance, their treasury. It's like, you've been around since 2012, Coinbase. How have you not just been siphoning off some of the Bitcoin, especially back then? You should have acquired enough Bitcoin back then to just throw on your balance sheet for a decade to be far ahead what MicroStrategy is. And like, yeah, they're behind Square from a treasury perspective. maybe.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah, no, because you can't even do anything with their custodial Bitcoin because other people have claims to it. Yeah,
It's pretty
interesting.
it's pretty sad. Forget Square. It's pretty sad that MicroStrategy has that much more Bitcoin than you, Coinbase. We knew Coinbase
Yeah.
was short Bitcoin. We had speculated that for a while, but now we know that they actually were. I wouldn't be surprised if they made those purchases more recently when they realized that there was a public appetite for it, and when they IPO, it adds valuation to them that they have it on their balance sheet. This is what people want to see now. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was a more recent situation, and I wouldn't be surprised if they actually didn't put that much in and then it went up in value, because we have gone up significantly over the last couple of months. One other thing I'd mention from that Coinbase S1 is Brian Armstrong has significantly less ownership than I expected. He still has more voting shares. He's still the largest voting shares by individual, but Andreessen Horowitz has a larger percentage stake of his own company than he does.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
The cap table was something like, I think Brian owns like 22% or something like that. I don't want to kill my internet over here by checking.
I can look into
but whatever
it.
it was significantly lower than I expected.
Does Fred Ursham still have from, or do you
Fred
have
Ursham
to?
only has 9%.
Interesting. Where was that cap table? Do you remember roughly?
Yeah, it was the block. The block pulled it out. I think Larry called it out. Lawmaster.
Executive compensation. I don't know how much.
But anyway, I mean, it doesn't matter exact. I know he made $1 million in salary this year.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he made $1 million in
but then
salary.
he also, yeah,
57.67 mil in option awards. It's pretty significant. Yeah, I mean, he made $59 million last year. Salary being the smallest contribution to that, but I don't know. I feel weird talking about people's finances. The breaking news. Shout out to Rob Hamilton at Rob1Ham on Twitter. Incredible freak. Cameron Winklevoss, one of the Winklevi twins, just announced that Gemini will be donating $1 million to the MIT Digital Currency Initiative to support open source development and advance the security of Bitcoin. So the Winklevi and Gemini for joining the effort to help fund protocol development. It was harder to get out than it should have been. Sarah Matthew, immediately off the top of your mind.
it's good. That's good to see. I mean, I know they wanted.
Are you looking at the chat right now?
No, I was trying to find the Armstrong percentage, but whatever. It's not, honestly, it doesn't fucking matter. Who the fuck cares? The bullish thing is how many is like just how much users they have. I think is like the most bullish thing for a Bitcoiner. And otherwise, Coinbase can go fuck themselves. It's good. It's good to see Gemini contributing. We have on the list BitMEX contributing to
Ford,
FanQuake again, Michael Ford. Yeah, and that's their third grant they've given to him, and like they're getting drilled by the U.S. government, and they're like in complete survival mode, and they're still contributing to developers. So it's good to see Gemini doing it as well. I think this was their second dev funding that's happened.
Gemini's?
Yeah. I think they gave to Brink.
That would make sense. I can't confirm or deny that right now. I'm ignorant to whether or not they did that. FanQuake legend. Shout out to BitMEX. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention. It was interesting to see Arthur Hayes come out with a blog post a couple of weeks ago. We didn't touch on that.
It's on the list.
Commenting
it's so
on
good.
Should we just go to it? Well, I didn't realize it was on the list. So Arthur Hayes emerged. And I mean, he wrote a pretty long blog post just on, it's actually not too long, if I remember, on basically what's going on GameStop and the two-tiered system and how the plebs have no power and they should just walk away. take your funds and walk away. Don't support these companies and these entrenched incumbents who continually just don't play by the rules, create their own rules, piss on your face, tell you, and keep stamping on the little guy. And it was like, I right away when it came out, I think shout out to No Bullshit Bitcoin for being right on top of that, I believe, where I saw it first. I was like, wow, he's actually like pretty ballsy to be writing this type of blog post as you're being embedded by the U.S. government.
Well, I mean, it's his first statements in September when the U.S. Gov arrested his co-founder.
Well, and is he a fugitive right now? Or,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Ballsy. I mean, for you freaks who don't know, maybe new to Bitcoin, and new to BitMEX and Arthur Hayes, they provided a service market that was very much demanded, but it was illegally questionable, especially in the eyes of U.S. regulators. They provided Bitcoiners with the ability to trade options, but they did it in a Bitcoin circular economy way. You can only deposit Bitcoin and get paid out in Bitcoin and trade using Bitcoin. You could trade other coins in Bitcoin on leverage, but like an OG company in the space was the most popular options trading platform for quite some time. And for the longest, no KYC. They have their blog, which is really good content. They're contributing to developers, like we just mentioned, Michael Ford being one of them, for years. And another thing that I really respect that they did is they were smart about their footprint on the blockchain. They had a way in which they would issue withdrawals. They did it once a day, and we're very cognizant of. What do you mean by that? Why are you doing this? I thought it was smart.
I mean, it was cool. It's a smart way to reduce risk by just doing one withdrawal period per day, because then you know that your keys are only hot in that one period, and you have a very set process to do it, and that's probably one of the reasons why they never got hacked. So props to them for that. The reason I said is because it wasn't really, and this is fine. They paid their fees, so it's fine. But to say they were good stewards of the blockchain is a little bit of a, because in their peak, it was like 9 a.m. Eastern. If you didn't get your transaction out before 9 a.m. Eastern, you had to wait like 2 hours because they just slammed the chain with withdrawals. Like the fee pressure just would go up at 9 a.m. every day when those withdrawals went out.
Yeah, but they were batching and stuff. Well, anyway, BitMEX saga continued. They ran this exchange for quite some time. Americans are not allowed to use it, not allowed to trade it, unregistered funds or unlicensed options. And so the U.S. government, at some point at least, U.S. citizens were actively using the exchange. In September of last year, I mentioned they brought a suit against BitMEX and caught one of their executives and co-founders, Sam Reed, Boston. He's been, is he out of jail now? Is he out on bail? He might be out now.
I think they still have him
on bond, maybe. Anyway, and they're looking for Arthur. I think Arthur may be hiding out somewhere, trying to date the long dick of the U.S. government. And yeah, he came out with his list about 7 days ago, probably right after we recorded this episode, and was like acting like nothing's good. Like there was like a mess, like walk away from their system, but in the stop. But it seems like there's underlying mess at all. Like walk away from these institutional investors and what happened with Robinhood and Citadel and all that, but just in general, I'm away from the system that pervades everything.
Yeah, I mean, he really channeled what we've been feeling for a while, and I think the freaks have been feeling, and they've been hearing on RHR. But it was good to hear from a legend that we hadn't heard from in a while, and it was a baller way of doing it. He didn't tweet it out; like it just went on the BitMEX blog titled "Walk Away," and he was just like they're going to fuck you. They're going to fuck the little guy. Stop trading the rigged markets. Walk away. Use Bitcoin.
Yeah. Arthur, if you're watching this, I doubt you are. I hope you're well. I mean, it's like you talked about, like these calls. It was a free market. That's a BitMEX, a true free market. People, their sats at risk on their own volition. It operated pretty well. Like it was at one point, like institutional investors from around the world were using it as this platform because it had and the best options on the market, even though it was legally dubious whether or not the service was was above the above the table, illegal or not. So yeah, it's like we talked about this when all this stuff happened in September. It was a sad day for Bitcoin when they got BitMEX. Now every KYC'd. Can U.S. citizens use? I'm pretty sure not. Even if you can't use it, it's not registered.
So, I mean, the whole argument was they weren't following U.S. law. So what BitMEX said, we don't want, we're a global company. We're not trying to hurt the privacy and the experience of our users globally just for America. So what we will do is we will block American users via IP address. But in practice, what was happening was American users were just using a VPN to get around it. But in BitMEX's defense, they didn't want to block VPN usage because that's a pro privacy feature for their global users. So basically, what America is saying is if you do not implement KYC on everybody to simply filter out the Americans, then you're breaking American law. So basically, American regulators are compelling companies to put the privacy at risk of all of their clients globally just for the sake of blocking Americans, which is an extremely slippery slope. It's something we see getting implemented everywhere, like across the board. And I have it on the list as well. I mean, fuck BitPay. BitPay can go fuck themselves, but they recently got hit with sanctions violations because they had users that were buying from merchants from sanctioned countries. And that's why BitPay has since, not only do they have to pay a big fine, but now they have to do KYC on orders. Anyone paying a merchant that's over $3,000, and I think like KYC underneath that. And this is exactly why BitPay, BTC Pay Server, and other open source tools are so important, because if we have centralized third parties that are doing this, they're always going to get pressured by the long arm of the U.S. government.
Yes. Yeah. That is why BTC Pay Server exists. We are BTC Server users. We that any of you freaks looking to receive payments on behalf of us, if you're a merchant or even an individual blog or something like that, or TC Pay Server, BitPay, and centralized solutions every day of the week is custody points. It goes straight to your custody. It's the beauty of the network. It's the way you should be leveraging the Bitcoin network. The BitPay settlement up. So it's a settlement agreement between the U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Control and BitPay. So this is OFAC after them. And let's see, BitPay agreed to remit 507 potential 2002 relations multiple. Yeah. In Cuba, North Korea, Iran, and yeah, were the countries where users of BitPay were accepting payments from.
Marty, your mic's all fucked up. You sound like a robot.
Fuck. Do you sound good to me?
Is it like a loose connection or something?
I don't know what it is. Like, do I sound? That question.
No, you were breaking up for me, but I thought it was my fault. But the live chat is saying that it's your fault.
Ah, please continue. Recording live.
Cuts in and out. Marty is lagging hard. It's not you, Matt. It's Marty.
Maybe we should live keep recording ourselves. So it's already classy.
I mean, you're recording locally anyway, right?
Yeah, I'm recording locally. All right, it's back.
So,
So is it lagging in and out for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. You're breaking up. You keep breaking up.
All right, we're ending. We'll this offline in 30 minutes. I had live and some, my mic. I do need to defrost my internet. I'm sorry, guys. This is to me as well.
Wait, Marty, try cutting your video before you cut the live stream. No, that didn't help at all.